There is a moment after death, so subtle, so silent, that no word can fully contain it. It is the space between your final breath and the first whisper of eternity. In this moment, the soul does not move forward or backward. It remembers. It remembers the truth it carried long before the body was formed. It remembers the vibration of unity, the frequency of home. There is no fear here, only the soft unraveling of illusions, like fog dissolving under morning light. And in this sacred pause, awareness returns like a tide, gentle but unstoppable. Edgar Cayce, often called the sleeping prophet, spoke not in riddles, but in resonances. Through his trance sessions, he accessed what he called the Akashic records, a boundless field of soul memory, where every intention, every choice, every love is recorded in the language of vibration. And within this field, he revealed a profound truth. The soul does not forget, not at death, not ever. It remembers the pain, yes, but more importantly, it remembers why the pain was chosen. It recalls the lessons encoded within joy, grief, loneliness, ecstasy. The dance of opposites becomes clear from that higher vantage point. Every face encountered, every moment of silence, every act of kindness, it all takes shape in a single vision. The soul sees the pattern, the spiral, the why. But this remembering is not an intellectual act. It is vibrational. The soul does not analyze, it feels. And in this feeling, recognition floods through it like light through stained glass. Colors emerge that were never seen before. Truths become tones, and every moment lived begins to sing in harmony with the soul's true purpose. Cayce taught that death is not an end but a shift, a gentle lifting of the veil. The soul, untethered from physical form, expands. It does not float into nothingness. It re-enters a field it never truly left, a place outside time where love is the only law and memory is not something you carry, but something you become. You become every touch you gave with tenderness, every word spoken in truth, every time you forgave when it would have been easier to hate. These are not lost. They are etched into the soul's resonance, and after death they ring like bells in sacred air. The first thing the soul remembers is this: I am not gone. I am more than I have ever been. I am not the body I wore. I am not the name I answered to. I am the observer behind the eyes. I am the breath beneath the breath I am. And in this knowing, the soul smiles, not in the way mouths smile, but in the way stars shimmer. A remembrance so deep it feels like warmth, not heat, not fire, but recognition. The soul remembers being here before, dying before, returning before. It is not new, it is ancient, and it is wise. In that first luminous moment, the soul does not grieve for the life left behind. It honors it. And then it begins to open, to stretch across dimensions, to remember not just who it was, but who it is, and always has been. And so this is how the journey begins, not with light or sound or angels in golden robes, but with memory, a memory so deep, so alive, that it becomes the doorway into everything that follows. If these words touched your soul, subscribe to the channel and click on the video that just appeared on your screen. It was chosen especially for you. I know you'll love it. After the soul crosses the threshold of form, it does not carry the body, but it carries something far more enduring: intention. Not the fleeting kind born of desire or fear, but the subtle magnetic current that moved beneath every choice, every thought, every breath. Edgar Cayce spoke often of intention not as action, but as origin. It is the seed beneath the visible garden, the wind beneath the wings of destiny. In the afterlife, there is no pretense, no masks, no performance. There is only truth, reflected with crystalline clarity. And here the soul is drawn instantly to the frequency of its own vibration. It is not judged, it is revealed. Every intention once whispered in the quiet of the heart now echoes as music in the great field of being. Did you act from love? Did you act from fear? Not just in great moments, but in the small ones. The glance to a stranger, the thought toward a friend, the silence in a room. Every moment is remembered not as an event, but as an energy. And the soul, immersed in this memory, sees not only what it did, but why. This is not punishment, it is healing. The soul is shown what it created with every vibration it sent into the field. Cayce described this as a life review, but not as a linear slideshow. It is immersive. You feel what others felt because of you. You experience the ripples of your own intentions moving outward, touching lives you never knew you affected. This is the weight of intention, not a burden but a mirror, a sacred reckoning not to condemn but to integrate. For even the darkest actions, when held in the light of understanding, can become portals of transformation. The soul begins to see that what it feared was part of what it needed, that what it resisted was often the very key to its expansion. You see, memory here is not passive, it is active. The soul remembers through feeling and it heals through recognition. The pain caused is not punishment, it is a call to alignment. And the joy given is not reward, it is a remembrance of truth. Edgar Cayce emphasized that the soul never loses its freedom, even after death. It chooses where to go, it chooses what to learn. And in this field of clarity, those choices are no longer clouded by survival or ego. They are made with luminous honesty. Imagine standing before a vast ocean of memory, and every drop is a choice you made, not to be judged, but to be understood. The soul, in its profound stillness, does not recoil. It listens, it receives, it forgives. Forgiveness is not a word here, it is a state of being. The soul remembers how often it forgot its own light, and in that remembrance it softens, it opens, it expands. The soul understands that forgetting was part of the path, that intention, even when distorted, was always reaching toward the light. This is where transformation begins, not in denial, but in radical clarity. The soul does not deny its shadows, it embraces them, and in doing so it begins to alchemize them into wisdom. This wisdom does not belong to any religion, any doctrine. It is the raw knowing of experience, held in the silence of divine intelligence. So the soul floats, not upwards but inward, into deeper chambers of remembering, and the echo of its own intention begins to guide its next steps, not because it must atone, but because it longs to become whole. This longing, pure and unshakable, becomes the compass. And from that point onward, every memory is not just a reflection. It is an invitation to rise, to return, to remember. There is a sacred geometry beneath all relationships, a pattern invisible to the eye, yet unmistakably real to the soul. After death, this pattern comes into full view. The soul begins to remember not just who it was in life, but who it was with. Every soul it touched, every heart it brushed, every connection, no matter how brief, shines with unmistakable clarity. Nothing was random. Everything was resonance. Edgar Cayce spoke of soul groups, clusters of consciousness that travel together across lifetimes. We incarnate not as isolated wanderers, but as participants in a greater unfolding. Families, lovers, friends, enemies, all are echoes of previous dances, returning to offer another step in the choreography of awakening. The soul, in its post-life expansion, sees these connections like threads of light stretching across dimensions. You recognize faces, not in the way the body recognizes, but as frequencies, as agreements, as sacred contracts written in vibration. Some of these beings met you with love, some with resistance, all of them teachers, even the painful ones, especially the painful ones. After death, the soul does not cling to blame, it sees beyond duality. What once felt like betrayal is now understood as a necessary rupture. What once felt like loss is seen as a redirection. These moments, which broke the heart open in life, now reveal their deeper purpose to dissolve illusions of separation. The soul sees that every connection was a mirror, reflecting not just who we were, but who we were becoming. Every argument, every embrace, every silence between words, it all vibrates with meaning. It all served the remembering. Cayce emphasized that the soul is never alone, even in death. There are beings of light, guides, teachers, aspects of higher self that meet us in this space. But more than that, there is reunion. Those we loved and lost, those who departed before us, they are not waiting in a distant place. They arrive the moment we remember them. For in this realm, memory is creation. To think of a soul is to be with it. To feel it is to merge with it. But this merging is not attachment, it is understanding. The soul sees its place in the vast web of consciousness. It knows who it uplifted, who it harmed, who it learned from, and it does not recoil. It expands. It begins to love those it could not love in life. It begins to understand those it once condemned. And through this remembering, it becomes more whole. There is no hierarchy here, no soul is above another. Each is simply at a different point in the spiral of remembering. And the deeper the soul travels, the more it understands that every being is ultimately an extension of itself. There is no other. There is only reflection. This revelation does not come as a flash of lightning. It arrives like morning fog lifting from a mountain, slowly, quietly, but undeniably. The soul begins to feel the gentle ache of belonging, not to a person, not to a place, but to everything. In this expansive awareness, forgiveness becomes inevitable. Judgment melts, and love, the kind of love that has no opposite, becomes the air the soul breathes. It is not sentimental, it is not emotional. It is the foundational vibration of reality. The soul, now illuminated by memory and guided by truth, prepares for what comes next. It does not seek escape or reward. It seeks completion. And to complete, it must remember fully, not just who it loved, but why it came. Not just what it learned, but what it now must carry forward. This is not the end of the journey. It is the awakening within it. Beyond the veil, in the quiet clarity of the afterlife, the soul encounters a profound revelation. It has always known the path, not the details, not the names, places, or events, but the essence, the intention, the direction of its unfolding. What feels like chaos in the world of matter is, from the vantage of spirit, a sacred architecture, delicate, precise, and alive. This is the soul's blueprint. Edgar Cayce referred to it as the soul's pattern, an energetic map etched into the Akashic field, containing every past incarnation, every lesson chosen, every unresolved longing, every latent gift. It is not destiny in the rigid sense. It is a dynamic design built not from control but from consciousness. The soul is not bound by it. It collaborates with it. In life, we feel this blueprint as intuition, synchronicity, inner pull. In death, the fog lifts. The soul sees the full map, its origin points, its detours, its unfinished stories. It sees where it honored its essence and where it turned away. And yet, there is no guilt, only insight. The soul does not judge the detours, it integrates them. Even the mistakes become threads of gold, woven into the greater design. The soul remembers that it chose the circumstances of its incarnation, the body, the family, the culture, the wounds. None of these were punishments, they were invitations, currents designed to shape the soul's evolution. And it remembers how, despite forgetting this during life, the inner knowing never truly left. It was simply quieted. Now, with the veil lifted, the remembering rushes in like water through an opened gate. The soul sees the moments it ignored its own voice, and it sees the courage it summoned to follow it anyway. Even once, even briefly. These moments shine brighter than 1,000 lifetimes of comfort. Cayce taught that the soul is multidimensional, living not just in linear time, but across timelines and realms. In this expanded state, the soul becomes aware of its greater self, not just the personality that lived a single life, but the vast consciousness that threads through many forms. It is humbling, it is awe-inspiring, and it is deeply grounding. You are not just the person you were in your last breath. You are the seeker from centuries ago, the healer from another land, the silent observer in countless moments of becoming. All of it is you. All of it is now. For the soul does not move through time. It weaves it. This awareness is not overwhelming, it is liberating. The soul understands that it is part of something much vaster than it ever imagined, a collective unfolding, a universal memory rediscovering itself through every experience. And in this knowing, peace arises. Not the peace of stillness alone, but the peace of alignment. Alignment with truth, alignment with purpose, alignment with self. The blueprint does not dictate what must happen next. It offers direction, possibility, a remembrance of why the soul first answered the call to embody. And it is from this place of full awareness that the soul chooses again, whether to return, to assist, to rest, or to evolve into higher planes of existence. But whatever the choice, it is no longer made in darkness. It is chosen from light, from clarity, from remembrance. This is the turning point. The soul, no longer asking, "Why did this happen to me?" begins to ask, "What did I come here to become?" And that question does not echo into emptiness. It becomes a song, a vibration, a beacon for the next phase of becoming. And so, the map unfolds once more, not as something outside the soul, but as something it is. There is a moment, beyond memory, beyond form, beyond even the soul's questions, when all that remains is light. Not the light of the sun, not something that can be seen with eyes, but the light of pure awareness, the light of what you are, when there is nothing left to hold on to. Edgar Cayce often spoke of the soul's return to source as a return to oneness, not a place but a state, a vibration, a home without walls. Here the soul does not remember, it merges. It no longer needs to recall what it was, it simply becomes what it has always been. This is not disappearance, this is fulfillment. After passing through the gates of intention, connection, and blueprint, the soul is no longer looking back, it is no longer seeking, it is arriving. And in this final remembering it becomes light, not as metaphor but as essence. The density of thought dissolves. The emotions, once stormy and sacred, become still. The soul is not empty. It is full, radiant, complete, whole. This is not the end of identity, but the expansion of it. You remember that you were never just one name, one body, one story. You were the sky holding them all. You were the silence beneath the words, the breath that moved through every lifetime. Cayce taught that even in this state the soul retains choice. It can remain in this light, in communion with the infinite, or it can return, incarnate again, not because it must, but because it loves. Because in the vastness of spirit, there remains a tender desire to serve, to uplift, to be a light in form, a vessel of remembering for others, still walking through the dream of separation. And so some souls choose to return, not out of karma, but out of compassion. Others remain, continuing their evolution in realms beyond our comprehension, dimensions where time folds and thought becomes creation. They study, they assist, they sing the universe into being, not as gods, but as conscious currents of becoming. There is no obligation in the afterlife, there is only truth, and from truth, love flows, not the personal love we chase in human form, but a love so vast it has no opposite, a love that does not cling or demand, a love that simply is. In this love there is nothing to fear, nothing to fix, nothing to prove. You are seen, you are known, you are home. And yet, even in this radiance, the soul carries the subtle imprint of every life lived. It is not lost, it is integrated. You remember the laughter, the tears, the nights of longing, the moments of awe, not as burdens, but as sacred notes in the song of your becoming. You are not just light, you are light with depth, light with memory, light with wisdom. And this light becomes your signature, your offering, your truth. In the end, the soul does not seek reward, it seeks coherence, to live, to die, to remember, and to align with the current of love that moves through all things. This is not fantasy. This is the architecture of reality as seen from beyond the veil. Edgar Cayce reminded us that death is not to be feared, it is to be understood. Because in understanding it, we begin to live differently. We begin to love more freely, forgive more easily, and listen more deeply. We begin to remember now what we might have waited to remember then. So pause, breathe, feel the light already within you. And remember, you are not becoming the soul. You have always been. If these words touched your soul, subscribe to the channel and click on the video that just appeared on your screen. It was chosen especially for you. I know you'll love it.